Hi family, Dr. Brian Hooten, DC, everybody's chiropractor in Dallas, Texas. Excited to bring you this video. This is the first installment in 2020 of a series of videos on what you need to do, on how you can adjust your lifestyle to set your path towards strength and health instead of what the rest of the world is doing, which is going towards the nursing home mentality or the heart disease mentality or the getting cancer mentality. You know, those three things are ravaging our country way more than any virus ever will. Depending on who you talk to, one of those is always the leading cause of death: Alzheimer's, cancer, or heart disease. And it kind of makes sense. If you can change the trajectory of your life to where you are heading away from those things, where you're avoiding those things, you're probably going to be avoiding just about every other disease also. Now, I'm not God. I'm not going to sit here and say there's any perfect human being. There's only one perfect person that I remember, Jesus, right? But you can radically reduce your risk of getting any of these things. And genetics aside, right? Genetics are like a trigger on a gun. Some of them, though, you can't control. Like you're not going to change your skin color, your eye color, that kind of thing, at least through your your natural body. But the rest of the genes, things like genes for heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, those things are like triggers that you have to pull. And sadly, sometimes they get pulled and you don't even know it. All right, but the vast majority of these things are under your control. In other words, you can change tomorrow. You can change your next year. You can change what 70 years old looks like to you. But when should you start doing that? Right? Let's say, for example, I was a sick kid. I mean, my parents told me I was in the hospital 12 times before I was 2 years old. I never quite could breathe right. It seemed like I had, asthma 24/7, 366, constant infections, constant antibiotics, constant steroids, many prescriptions, over the counters, taking allergy shots. And if you look at my life back then, it seemed as if I had this genetic condition. And I remember that terminology getting thrown about. So essentially what the doctors were saying is there was no hope. Here, you're going to have to take this drug. Maybe you'll grow out of it. And knowing what I know now, they had no idea what they were doing. I'll just say it bluntly. The doctors, even today, the vast majority of them, now there are a few exceptions, right? But the vast majority of doctors have no idea how to get you healthy. They don't study proper nutrition. They don't study proper exercise. They sure as heck don't study proper spinal care. Medical doctors in the entire system in this country are set up to treat your symptoms. And that is the point of this whole video. Treating your symptoms is not going to get you healthy. Waiting for a symptom to show up on a test and then treating the symptoms, that is way different than getting healthy. So for your first lesson, if you will, on changing the trajectory of your life and getting your body and your family's body headed towards a healthy state, a conquering state, a lifetime of thriving and making it to 80, 90, and 100 with your brain intact, is to understand you cannot rely on symptoms. You can't rely on tests to detect a symptom. Let's take the big one. For example, let's say prostate cancer, right? If somebody were to do a prostate exam on me and they found out that I had prostate cancer, they're going to tell me to go in and do this surgery, this chemo, this radiation, right? All of that is symptom treatment, and it has nothing to do with building health. Let me say it again. You cannot get healthy by treating a symptom. The only way to get healthy is to allow your body to do its thing, to fuel it with the right things, and to make sure you don't put any toxic crap in it. That's the only way to build health. Allow your body to do what it's meant to do. So I want to share with you a little bit of embryology, and then go back and watch this video again if you need to. Again, share it. Come back to these. Stay tuned this week. I'm going to be doing a video every day for the next few weeks for sure. Consider this. Before you were born, you developed inside of your mom for 9 months. And before that, it was a sperm and an egg. So through the miracle of life, what we call innate intelligence, the sperm knew to go fertilize the egg, right? So one of these sperms got in there and did its thing. And then the egg went and implanted in the mom. And then over 9 months, you went from those two little things to 4 cells to 8 cells to 16 cells, and they kept doubling and kept logarithmically growing into trillions and trillions of cells without any help. Nothing was in there telling those cells to multiply and divide and make organs. And the first organ, the very first organ to be created, to be developed in the mother's womb was the spinal cord. So this group of cells that were essentially stem cells, they knew innately, where did that wisdom come from? If it didn't come from God, where did it come from? But that innate intelligence knew that it had to form the spinal cord and brain, the central nervous system. And as long as that happened first, now the rest of the cells, as they multiplied, they would go over here and make a liver. These other cells would go make a heart. These other cells would go make a lung. But the first thing to develop inside of every one of you, inside of all your children, was a brain and spinal cord. How cool is that? And as long as that develops, it can start organizing and controlling all the other organs that develop into this little critter that squirts out in 9 months with no help. It did all of that. The baby did all of that without any help from the outside world. There was no doctor doing that, right? The only person really with influence on this is the mom. So moms, know what good nutrition is. Know what a good, real, whole food multivitamin is. Don't be putting anything artificial. Don't take any advice from somebody that's geared on symptoms or somebody that doesn't understand real health. Okay, this is Dr. Hooten signing off. Remember, the miracle of life is still inside of you. It didn't leave after you were born. Treat it properly. Take care of your temple, exactly like the Bible says. What is it? 3 John chapter 1 verse 2 says, above all else, I want you to be strong and healthy in mind, body, and spirit. Love you guys. Remember, drugs are bad. God is great, and so are you. Talk to you next time.